You are now listening to F&B Radio.
And welcome to F&B Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins, and I am your host. I took last week off because it just felt too hard to do a show. But here I am. I'm going to say one thing at the top regarding the Roe versus Wade decision being overturned, just because I feel like it's inescapable. But I am just going to say one thing about it, and that is abortions, whether you like it or not, need to be legal for medical reasons. Ectopic pregnancies. I know at least 3 women that have had ectopic pregnancies. If you don't know what that is, then please just don't get angry until you learn about those and figure out what they are. But they essentially killed a mom. And you can't tell me that if your wife or your daughter or your aunt or your nephew, he can't even have one, niece, was about to die, and it was either that or have an abortion, abort an ectopic fetus. You can't tell me that you wouldn't do that. So I just want to say they have to be legal. Now we can argue to what degree, but in some, there have to be exceptions. There just can't be a blanket ban. I'm so angry about even having to talk about this, not because I'm afraid of losing listeners. Like, I could really care less about that. It has nothing to do with that. I'm exhausted that I have to take a side publicly. I'm exhausted that after all this time, we're revisiting something that's been legal for 50 years and that people somehow feel happy about that. And I'm exhausted that people are hiding behind religion and the Bible and God instead of actually talking to the people in your life and saying, the fact is, we all know plenty of people who have had abortions or done worse things. That's just the facts. But I do understand that religious beliefs are real. I understand that people, this is a deeply personal issue. And look, I'm not trying to convince anyone, because guess what? Despite what you might think, posting on social media isn't going to change anyone's mind. The only thing we can hope for is compromise, compassion. And if you're on the religious side of this, then I urge you to let God judge these people and their decisions, and stop trying to legislate on behalf of God. Okay? There, I said it. I got through it because I honestly, I couldn't do a show last week because I was so just sad. Sad that women end up being the ones that have to like fight against these issues, even though this is not just a woman's issue. This affects men too. I don't know why men aren't seeing that, but this is definitely an everyone issue. Okay. If you think it's a woman's issue only, then I don't know. That's not what I'm here to discuss. I'm just going to say, I feel that this is an issue that affects everyone's freedoms. And mostly what makes me sad is that people like me, women, have to now spend their time being advocates just to get like basic healthcare rights so that they don't have to die. It's just tough because now we have to spend our time doing that and talking about that. And all of our energy has to go to that and protecting ourselves. Instead of putting out what we want to put out into the world, instead of being contributing members of society that have something other to do than just defending their right to exist. I'm just so tired of that. I'm so tired of being like, hey, I had all these dreams and aspirations, but I better spend every spare bit of my time just trying to justify my right to be a woman because I have special powers. I can create a life in my body, and somehow that makes everyone able to weigh in on what that looks like. So I'm really not going to say anymore. I already said too much. I didn't even want to say that much, but I just feel, I just feel bummed out and exhausted that we're still going over this. And if you're like me, this issue is extremely traumatizing. That this is still a conversation that has to be not only had, but now it's become illegal in the state that I live in. So people are just scrambling and trying to figure out what they're going to do. Okay. All right. And I really am not going to talk about it anymore because you know what? I'm pissed that I have to talk about it at all. But yeah, it's never been about losing listeners or followers. Everybody can disagree, but we better have the option. You don't have to agree with me, but it can't be illegal. It can't be. Yeah. Thank you for listening to that. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it's, I know that's a buzzkill. That's not a cool, fun topic to have to talk about. But you can thank everybody that's trying to hold women down for that. Don't blame me. I'm just here, having no choice but to weigh in because it makes me look crazy if I don't address it. And if I do address it, it just makes everyone angry. So these are my options. Hard left last night. A culmination of a bunch of recipe testing inadvertently, like not actually planning to test, but I've been I think I mentioned it in a couple episodes of back. I've been obsessed with s'mores. Okay. Because I have a crippling sweet tooth. And at night, on the weekends, when I watch TV, I like to have something sweet to eat. And sometimes I feel like making something, like a true confection where I'm actually making a bunch of, creaming butter and sugar and flour together, lemon juice and lemon zest to make a cake or something like that, or brownies, or I don't know, whatever kind of sweet things you like to eat at night, cookies. But recently, it's like every time I go to the store, I somehow leave the store without thinking about it with graham crackers and marshmallows and chocolate. And then I ran out of the bars of chocolate, so I just started using the chocolate chips. And I just kept kind of tweaking. And then I started adding some sea salt to the chocolate once it was melted, turning the marshmallows under the broiler because I'm not lighting a campfire every night. I'm making them in my oven while I'm watching Stranger Things or The Bear, which we'll get to in a second. But I've sort of been just messing around and being like, why? So many people, and since I've been in restaurants, have tried to make s'mores like a legit dessert because it's a very American sweet thing to eat. But is it a legit dessert? I don't know. I love them. I'm not talking shit about them. I'm just saying, do we put it up there with something like a baked Alaska? Maybe. I don't know. But I started just making them. I probably made, I don't know, I would say 60 s'mores in the last 5 months. I get on a little tear where I'll make 3 in a night and I'll do them a couple of different ways and try to build them a couple of different ways. But here's the thing that ends up always happening. The flavor combination is dynamite, but it leaves something to be desired. The s'more is somehow kind of sticky and dry. And even if you have the right chocolate ratio, which is, trust me, very difficult to achieve, and the correct tempered or meltedness of the chocolate and the correct blisteredness or caramelized of the marshmallow, somehow it just leaves something to be desired. I'm like, there's just no way. I've been trying to take it out and look at it in a different way without... Oh my God. I was thinking about this last night. Remember when people used to make everything was a deconstructed something or other? This was a very popular food trend when I was working in fine dining. And it just makes me laugh now because I think about it and you're like, it's like a deconstructed chicken parm. And it just makes me laugh. But anyway, I've even thought about deconstructing them. What if I crumbled up the graham crackers and just all of it's no. No. People want the thing that's a sandwich that you bite into that has those elements and that flavor profile. But last night, I think I accidentally cracked the code. It was very serendipitous. And basically, I had made It's peanut butter cookie dough. Jeremy's favorite cookie is a peanut butter cookie. It's very nostalgic for him. His grandmother used to make them. I think a lot of kids love peanut butter cookies. I don't know why, because there's just, they love peanut butter. Why do children love peanut butter? Because it's like frosting, but they get to call it food. In any case, he loves peanut butter cookies. And so do I. Duh. Especially with the little crossed fork imprint in them. And I took peanut butter cookies, but I was like, I don't want to make them. I kind of want to just make a s'more instead. I'm feeling lazy. So I had gotten the cookie dough out. I had turned the oven on, but I was like, I just kind of want to chill. I don't want to make cookies and form cookies and bake them and cool them and eat, all that. Just felt too hard. A lot of things have been feeling too hard, like doing this show. And so I had all this stuff on the counter, and then I kind of changed directions and was like, I'm not making cookies. Turn off the oven. I'm going to make s'mores instead. So I'll switch the oven from bake to broil, and I'll make s'mores. But then I opened the freezer and I was like, whoa, I have vanilla ice cream. And then I'm looking at all these components that are accidentally out on the counter together, and it's peanut butter cookie dough, ice cream, graham crackers, chocolate in the form of chocolate chips. And I start thinking, hey, it's summertime. Ice cream sandwiches. Like, I'm looking at the graham crackers in the sleeve, and they're like in a long rectangle. I haven't broken them apart into two squares, which still are rectangles, actually, if you're honest. And I don't like when the graham crackers aren't broken into squares, because good luck getting an even snap in the middle. I don't know if you've tried to do that, but in my 60 tries at making s'mores, it's very difficult. I went back in time in my head, like something in my body just like remembered that I used to work at a Cold Stone Creamery when I was much, much younger. It was one of my first experiences in a quote unquote restaurant. I would call them a restaurant. You're taking ingredients and making something new and selling it to people and dealing with the general public and prepping. So it's a restaurant. It's also an ice cream shop, but it's a restaurant. And I started being like, whoa, when your brain just like goes somewhere else and you start like picking up stuff kind of without actually thinking about it. I call it like just through osmosis, like an idea comes to you. And I'm like, I'm going to take some of this. I'm going to take this graham cracker. I'm going to leave it as a rectangle, so it looks like an old school ice cream sandwich, like the Pet chocolate ice cream sandwich. And then I took the peanut butter cookie dough, which had been sitting on my counter, so it was a little bit more tempered, and I let the ice cream kind of come up so it was more spreadable. And I made an ice cream sandwich that was sort of a mix between a s'more and a peanut butter cup. And it was unbelievable. It was so good. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, Jeremy, you got to try this. I spread the cookie dough onto the graham cracker side, and then I salted it with Maldon salt. And then I took the tempered ice cream, and you got to work quickly and then refreeze them. But I smeared it onto there, put the other sandwich, the graham cracker cookie on top, made a sandwich. And then all around the edges, I took my finger and just smoothed it, or you could use a spatula if you're making it for someone else. And they're like, please don't finger bang my ice cream sandwich. But I took my finger because I'm making it for myself, and I smeared it along the edges till it was like, looked like the ice cream sandwich, and dipped it into chocolate chips and pressed them into there. So you had that kind of classic ice cream treat. And then I refroze them for a little while. It'd probably be better if you, froze them overnight. 'Cause I think you get that full ice cream effect, which the freezer and ice cream tend to break down any sort of cookie and make it kind of soft, which is not a bad thing in my opinion, especially in relation to an ice cream sandwich. It was amazing. I'm like, you could make these ahead of time and just have the ultimate summer treat that really doesn't involve making anything except the cookie dough. I mean, but that's not that hard to make. Peanut butter cookie dough, you make it, you throw it in the deli, and then the next time you have it ready there, and it's like this peanut buttery spread with the chocolate and the graham cracker. I realize that there's a glaring hole here, that there's no marshmallow, but honestly, the vanilla, the sweetness, the creaminess, the texture, once it's all together, you don't really miss the marshmallow that much. I think if you wanted to get crazy and put fluff on there, fine. But I didn't have that kind of wherewithal. I was just like, this is this is kind of a new hybrid, but I think in my goal of creating something more desirable, something new, a fresh take on a s'more that's made for summertime, like you can't ask for anything better. Like this thing absolutely killed. So I recommend it to you. I just give it a try. Make a little ice cream sandwich, and live your best life. It's just something that's been really fun because I have been at night. I've been watching FX's The Bear. And this is kind of a hot topic among food people right now. And there's a weird sort of connection with this show and the time in my life. Like it's kind of, it's sort of freaky. Jeremy, the actor that plays the character in The Bear, which is a series about a chef who was the CDC or the chef de cuisine at a Michelin star restaurant. They don't say which one. They just say the best one in the world. It's either got to be Per Se or 11 Madison Park. I'm guessing it's 11 Madison Park. But they never actually name that. They just say that this guy worked at the best restaurant in the world in America. And he's from New York. And he has to come back home to Chicago and take over his family's beef sandwich shop because his brother dies. His brother's an addict and dies. The cool part about this and what hasn't really been done before is that they use real restaurants. Like it's set in the real world. It's not a fictional, because we've seen that a lot where like you kind of guess which restaurant they're implying that it is, but it's under another name. This one they use real names down to the French Laundry. They have the Noma cookbook in this. They use green tape. I don't know if you're getting any PTSD, but I just want to know, if you're out there listening, which one of you Thomas Keller Restaurant Group people consulted on this project? Show yourself. Show yourself. Who is it? Because it's really well done. I'm not trying to persecute you here. I think it's a great job, but it just reeks of someone who worked at the French Laundry or Per Se or for any of the TKRG restaurants. So I want to know because I'd love to talk to you. So if you know who consulted on it, I've looked at all of the credits and the ones at the end go so fast that I can't see who the head writer is. Not someone that I know from the Thomas Keller Restaurant Group, but without a doubt, like on the pass, it says sense of urgency. They wear blue aprons. Like it is truly, it feels like someone is reading my diary. And then the weird connection is that when I actually lived in New York and worked at Per Se, I was also a shell of a person, much like the main character. And was having a really hard time balancing the stress of working in those places and the substance use, like how much people have to basically drink or use something to turn off after being in those kind of stressful environments where things are really, really intense and the stakes are really high. It's also extremely addictive to be in an environment where the stakes are really high. So there's just so much that like I really was like, oh my God, I feel like someone is in my life walking around in it. It's freaky. And I know a lot of people are going through that. But when I lived in New York and I was like deeply entrenched in that very lifestyle, my only sort of thing that I did for myself was on my days off when I could barely get out of bed because I was either like emotionally exhausted, hungover, both, or just like kind of feeling numb. I would lay on my couch, well, my sister's couch. She bought everything that we had. Thanks, Haley, for furnishing that apartment. But I would lay on our couch in our tiny little apartment on the Lower East Side. And I would like draw the curtains and I would watch Shameless, which was a show on Showtime with William H. Macy and Jeremy, who plays I think his name's Jeremy White, plays Lip, or Philip, one of the brothers, and he was always my favorite character in the show Shameless. So now he's weirdly fused into my memory of that time and place and that lifestyle. And so the casting of him as the main chef in this show, The Bear on FX, it really threw me for a fucking loop. Like I was like, what is happening? Oh my God. It felt like someone went into my life and my brain and extracted out weird parts of it and somehow put it into a TV show. But it's really well done. I encourage you to watch it. I think it's just amazing. It was hard at first because, full transparency, like, I've been writing a book about the industry, and it highlights a lot of these same things in a real way. And so I think a lot of people have been trying to crack that nut, myself included. And I don't think there's just one story to tell. So I'm still going to finish my book. Don't worry. Everyone calm down. But, yeah, it's been a weird couple of weekends because I try to only watch TV on the weekends, and then I'll watch a couple episodes of The Bear with Jeremy and make s'mores. And then last night I got up to an ice cream sando. But if you know the person who consulted on that, I have an idea. I'm not going to say their name on here, but I have an idea. Let me know, because I think it's just extremely well done. Almost too well done, to the point that I'm like, all right, where are you at? Who is it? Come forward. Also, if you're listening and you work at FX and you want me to write for the show, I think that would be a slam dunk. If you know anybody who's doing that, get me in the writer's room. I can hook it up. Like, I've got a whole manuscript if you want to do a spinoff. Okay. What else? I feel like that's enough. I feel like just getting the show out at all feels like a win for me during this crazy ass week. It is a long weekend. I'm looking forward to just hanging out. We're supposed to do something for the 4th, but I think it's going to rain, so I don't know what we're going to do. But I hope whatever you do, take care of yourself. That sounds like stupid eye roll, generic advice, but I'm just like, man, anymore, yes, we have to, show up for our people and push ourselves and do all that kind of stuff all the time. But I don't know. Right now, I feel like what I need is rest. So that's what I'm going to be doing most of the weekend. I think I'm just going to tune it all out, make up a bunch of ice cream sandwiches. I mean, the sky's the limit with that. I like the peanut butter cookie dough because it's smooth, right? It's a totally smooth dough. There's no chunks of anything. But I might pre-make some of those and just set it and forget it. I hope whatever you do, you'll have a fun weekend, a relaxing weekend, a restorative weekend. Yeah. I think you guys are so sweet for even listening, for making it this far in the show, for hanging with me. Oh, I have some exciting news. There's something really fun coming. The show, we built a set in my guest room, and we're going to start filming the show. It's going to be in video. I don't know when. I'm still testing the equipment. We'll probably do a bunch of those test runs this weekend because I have some time. But yeah, coming soon, the show's going to be in video. And it's going to be, wow, it's going to be an experience because I'm really, really excited just for the fact of getting guests on. I think it'll be a really fun. I have kind of a new vision for how it can look, feel, and sound. It'll still be the same old me on there, but you'll be able to see me, and hopefully we'll have friends in and a lot more kind of interactive abilities with the show, and how it continues to evolve. So to everyone that's been with me from the beginning, to the ones that are still here now, for the ones that unsubscribed at the top, I send love to you all. And I hope that you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye, 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 bye.
Je laisserai un mot sur le frigo.